Afghanistan and Iraq were also on the agenda at a meeting between the U.S. President Barack Obama and NATO's Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg on Tuesday. The two leaders met at the White House, and following the meeting, Obama called on NATO members to better use their resources in the fight against Islamic State fighters. CCTV's Roey Ruttenberg has been following this meeting for us, and he has the latest. What did they say?
That's right, Mike. A meeting between these two leaders, not their first, I should point out. Obama met Stoltenberg when the latter was the Norwegian Prime Minister. Now, of course, in his role as NATO Secretary General, the agenda is much more global. So they addressed, as you mentioned, issues of Iraq, ISIL, Islamic fighters there, Afghanistan issues, including Libya, and of course also Russia and the crisis in Ukraine. Both leaders urging Russia to meet what they say are its commitments to ending the fighting in Ukraine.
This Swiss fighter jet is just one of 100 aircraft taking part in NATO's Arctic exercise this week. The North Atlantic Group brings together, under a quote, self-defense umbrella, the militaries of the US, Canada, Turkey, and 25 European countries, many of them former Soviet states. Moscow sees this as muscle flexing. And this week, without any notice, Russia launched its own exercises. Russia's defense ministry, which released this video, says its, quote, surprise inspection of a number of units included some 12,000 soldiers and hundreds of aircraft and anti-aircraft missiles. It's the latest move in a chess game with Ukraine's future at stake. Washington considers Moscow to be taking a, quote, increasingly aggressive posture, the words used by the U.S. President Barack Obama on Tuesday. His sentiments were echoed by his guest, NATO's Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg.
And I urge all parties to fully implement the Minsk agreements, and Russia to stop supporting the separatists and to withdraw all its forces from eastern Ukraine.
Russia denies involvement in the civil war next door and says the U.S. is fueling the conflict. In March, the U.S. delivered an anti-missile system to nearby Poland, quote, in case of need. The White House meeting's agenda also included other topics, among them Afghanistan, and ensuring NATO members support the drawdown of troops, preventing a possible power vacuum, and the threat of ISIL. NATO members have been participating in U.S.-led airstrikes in Iraq, targeting the group's fighters. But on Tuesday, Obama said more may need to be done.
That means increased defense capacity building with other countries like Iraq or GCC countries that are interested in working with us, as well as the African Union. It also means that we have to think about whether we are deploying and arranging our assets effectively to meet that threat.
Both leaders said NATO is crucial, not just for transatlantic security, but for global security. For Moscow, that could look like greater meddling in Russia's backyard. To many, the visible presence of U.S. troops in Tbilisi on Tuesday, participating in Georgia's Independence Day celebrations just south of Russia, is a reminder of that.
Now, Obama and Stoltenberg also said that they would continue to defend NATO's traditional frontline states to the east, but that NATO would also look to the south, to places like Libya. That may spell a growing role for global security for what's been dubbed the world's biggest military alliance, and that, of course, may make some other global powers uncomfortable. Mike?